1977, George Lucas formed a legacy.
The Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
Inspired by mythology, his saga has become a passion for many.
Feel the Force around you.
His legend has become our story.
It's true. All of it.
One of resistance,
We are the spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the First Order down.
rebellion,
Rebellion is built on hope.
and redemption.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
This is Star Wars Reactions.
Remember, the Force will be with you. Always.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Star Wars Reactions. We are back with episode 45. It's our 45th episode. We are excited for that, and we got a great show planned for you today, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Joining me is my co-host. Well, I guess I should tell you who I am first. Dude, I'm skipping right over things. I'm just excited to get to my co-host. My name's Aaron Harris, and joining me, wow, he is the Poe to my BB-8, the David Motters. David, what's up, brother?
Oh my God. Is that the fastest karabast into a recording we have ever done?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay, people, new record set right there. New record set right there. No, I know, and I'll mess up here in the next 5 seconds as well. No, it's good to be here, buddy. And as always, I'm ready to react, and looking forward to enjoying the recording of another episode of Reactions and discussing a pretty fun episode.
Absolutely. It's going to be great. So we're going to have a lot of fun. First, everything going well for you?
I think so, yeah. We finished school last week. The kids did. Of course, my wife and I, we keep working every day. But it's been the first 2 days off for our kids, and they've really enjoyed it. In fact, I'm doing a preemptive strike to any of the listeners. If you hear teenage boys yelling and making noise and shooting baskets outside, that would be my son and his friends. So he'd asked my wife and I to have his buddies over, watch some of the NBA playoffs, and stay the night. So I've got a whole house full of teenage boys tonight. It was teenage girls last night for my daughter, teenage boys tonight. So I'm just preemptive strike. If you hear any of that, just know what it is. But we're doing pretty good, and just kind of moving into summer mode, at least for the kids.
Absolutely. I hope you at least made it to the grocery store to buy a bunch of extra food if you got a house full of teenage boys.
Oh, I've fed these guys since they were little, and now they're huge. One of them, Jonah, is 6'8".
Oh Lord,
huge kid. Yeah, plays basketball with Eli, my son, and yeah, I remember him when he was like up to my kneecap, and now he looks down at me, and he can put away so much food, Aaron. It's scary.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I got girls. So, oh man.
How about on your end? How you doing on your end?
Everything's going good on our end. Girls had their dance recitals this week, and they finished. We're recording this on Tuesday, the 25th. Tomorrow is their last day of school, so they'll be out tomorrow, and they're looking forward to that. And then it's all summer vacation.
Nice.
While I sit at home and continue to work.
Yeah. And I really like that picture you sent out of both your daughters. That was really nice.
Yeah, I put that out on my personal page. They did really good at their recital. So
cute. Yeah.
So, but hey, remember last week I told you I ordered the Clone Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi Gentle Giant one that broke?
Yes. What's the update?
Oh, the replacement arrived today, and it's gorgeous, darling. Just gorgeous.
That's okay. So that's the picture you sent me. I wanted to let you say it, and I saw the picture, and it is gorgeous.
Oh yes, I posted a picture on our social medias on all of them, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, so y'all could see it as well. And yes, I will be doing a opening video. Don't know when I'll get a chance to, but it will be happening sooner rather than later. So be on the lookout for that. We will crack that baby open together when it's time. Or when I can find time. Honestly,
cool.
just what it pulls down to. So And I was also naughty. I was bad. This is the part of the show where I confess I was naughty.
Uh-oh.
I may have gone and pre-ordered the Kanan Jarrus bust from Gentle Giant as well.
Oh my gosh! I hope your wife is not listening to this.
She never does.
Oh, good. I remember I said this, I don't know how many years ago, but I was with you in 2017 at Celebration, and you and I were walking the show floor there at the Orlando Convention Center, and you saw. This always goes back to Rebels, and I think it was it a statue of Ezra on top of
Chopper?
I
am looking at it right now.
I remember you saw it, your eyes got big, and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to get in so much trouble. And so I'm just letting our listeners know this is a pretty consistent theme. Aaron knows he shouldn't get it. His wife won't be happy. He still gets it because he's a dyed-in-the-wool Star Wars fan. And if it's Rebels, look out, people.
Well, I paid for that one though.
Oh,
the Chopper, the Ezra on top of Chopper statue. See, karma got me back on that one because leaving the convention center that day is when I tripped and fell and broke my hand.
I remember that vividly. Yeah.
So karma got me back on that one. But yeah. So also I found out today too. Yeah, they released. And I don't think we talked about this on the show, but May 4th, the U.S. Postal Service released a series of stamps based on Star Wars droids. And Chopper's one of the droids. It's got Chopper, R2, BB-8, K2SO, 3PO. It's got all these droids from Star Wars in there. And I found out today that they didn't just release the stamps. They actually released some collector stuff with it, including a framed photo of Chopper with the 8 stamps from the collection framed at the bottom.
Oh, I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah, neither did I. It ships in 4 to 7 days.
Are you saying that you ordered that as well?
Yes, I did.
Oh my gosh. All right.
I had permission to buy that one though.
Oh, I was just going to say I might be looking for a new co-host because someone gets himself killed by his spouse.
I did the right thing and I did ask permission on that one.
Okay. Now listen. I knew stamps were coming out on May the 4th. I just didn't know everything involved with it. I did see kind of a sheet of them, but I didn't know all the other collector stuff with it.
Oh yeah, they did a whole kit and caboodle. Let me see if I can find it again. Pull it back up. There it is. Droid stamps. Yeah, here they are. They have it's a whole bunch of stuff here. That's the actual sheet of stamps there. Let me pull up. I sent the link to a friend of mine. There it is. Yeah, they have the sheet of stamps. Then they have pre-stamped envelopes that you can buy that are pre-stamped with these droid stamps. And it's got the Star Wars droids logo that they put on it and everything. Then they got a I was tempted, but I didn't. It's Star Wars Droid Guide to a Far, Far Away. Looks like it's a book talking about the droids, the sheet of stamps, a map of the Star Wars galaxy showing where these guys go.
Wow.
Then they got the framed stamps. They have one, and they got it with most of the droids. They have Do, BB-8, R2, L3 or L337, the 21B medical droid, Chop, the Gonk droid, K2SO, 3PO, and IG-11.
Okay.
Yeah, and those are the 10 droids that are part of the sheet of stamps too. So, which it wasn't bad. You could pick the one you want and get the framed droid with the stamps at the bottom. It was only $39.95,
Okay.
which isn't bad at all. I'm actually sending you a picture of it right now so you can take a peek at it while we're talking.
Now, are you at United States Post Office, UP.com?
Yeah.
United States Post Office.com? Okay. Okay, so here it is right here. Oh, wow. Oh, my gosh. So like you can pick Chopper, but you could like maybe pick BB-8 and then have the stamps down below?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. I see why you got that. Oh, dude, that's sharp. And that's framed. How big is that, do you think?
It actually tells me. Hold on here. I'll tell you. It is. Let me get back to it. Those are 10. Let's see, 10 and 1/4 inch long by 18 and a half wide.
Gotcha. That's nice. That's sharp, man. That's sharp.
It is very nice. And I just sent you the link as well, if you wanted to check it out. But yeah, that thing is gorgeous. Gorgeous. As soon as I saw it, somebody posted it in the actually David Nicely, I believe, is the one who posted it in the Coffee and Kenobi group on Facebook. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, dude, where'd you get that?
Yeah.
And he sent me the link, and I was immediate. I went to the site and I looked at it. I screenshot the Chopper picture and sent it to my wife and said, "Pretty please," with sugar on top, with one of those emojis with the angel halo, and she's like, "Sure." Like, yes.
Cool.
Actually, it was, "Where are you going to hang it?" So I picked 2 places it could possibly go, and then she's like, "Okay." I'm like, "Yes." So I ordered it.
Nice. Well, I'm gonna go take a look. I'd encourage our listeners, take a look, see if you like anything.
Yeah, I'll add that to our link in our show notes too, so you can all take a look at all that as well. So the show notes on the website will actually have a link to get there. So
yeah.
So we will make sure that's there and available for you. So yeah, so it's been a collector's conundrum for me this week. So
no doubt.
So, and I like I said, I pre-ordered the Canon one, but I've been very good too, because they also have Rebels Darth Maul and Rebels Rex on pre-order as well. And I've so far I have resisted.
So far.
So far.
I like that. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it won't take much to get you ordering those too. Yeah.
Well, yeah, every time they pop up, I mean, because since I've looked at them, they pop up in my email and on Facebook all the time now. So every time I see them, all I hear is Vader, "Your powers are weak, old man."
And then you cave.
And I cave a little more each time.
Oh.
It's just a matter of time before I take the plunge.
Man. Well, we've got to do a meetup where I got to come down and see you and see all your stuff. I got to see all this stuff in person and just geek out with you, man.
Yeah, it's been a while since it was actually before we started. Back when we were doing resistance reactions is the last time you were down here.
Yeah, you and
hanging out. So
yeah, we were doing the Comic-Con thing at the Central Florida Comic-Con.
Yeah, Central Florida Comic-Con. That's coming up in just a couple weeks, and I'll be there for that. So I'm looking forward to that. If you're in the Central Florida area, hit that up. Central Florida Comic-Con. It'll be in Lakeland, Florida at the LP Funding Center. I'll be hanging out there, having some fun. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Well, I told Aaron earlier that we're leaving that Saturday for a family vacation. And so, yes, to preserve my marriage, I do need to leave that day. I've been to the last 2 with Aaron, and I was looking forward to going to this one with him as well. I love those small cons, and I love hanging out there with Aaron and geeking out with all the Star Wars fans there, and all the other fandoms, and Harry Potter and Marvel and DC. Oh my gosh! And Aaron and I sift through 5 billion comics. It's just so fun. But hopefully getting together, you and I, a little bit later, like in August at another con. So hopefully we'll do that.
Yeah, my conscience will not be with me, so I'll probably come home with a whole bunch of stuff.
Right. I know. I remember being there with you, and I was preserving your marriage.
Yes, you were.
I really
yes,
was.
You were. I'll be a pilgrim in an unholy land.
Well, I'm not only a psychologist, but then I am at these Comic Cons, and I'm primarily for you, I'm a marital counselor at these cons.
Yeah. So it's like everywhere we walk. Hey, have you seen Squirrel?
Squirrel. There's so much there, and I'm the same way. Everything I see, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so cool. And when you and I walk out, we always do. We try to support a lot of those, vendors and stuff, and they do such a good job. And man, have they been hit last year. I don't even know if how many of them have made it through this time without the cons, but yeah. Well, I got to get there. I just wish it, of course, it couldn't be at its normal time in January this year because of COVID. So they bumped it back to June.
June. Sorry.
Yeah.
But it's going to be fun. It's going to be look good. I mean, there's not anybody this year from Star Wars in any of the announcements they've made, and I'm pretty sure they've made all their announcements. But there'll be I think a couple people from Power Rangers will be there. Some anime voice actors will be there, and it's just gonna be a fun con. The panels are always fun to attend. The cosplays are amazing. The vendors are awesome. So it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. We've gone half of our opening and we haven't even hit the news yet. So
we'll do it quick. It's very quick.
Let's hit the news. Let's get this show. We'll keep going here. Couple things that happened this week. Dave Filoni, it was announced Dave Filoni got promoted. Got a new title, Executive Creative Director of Lucasfilm. Now, a lot of people everybody was super excited and happy for Dave. And, a lot of, on the outline, people got a little carried away with it, because they didn't read in to see what that means. He's not the only person with that title. John Knoll and Doug Chang also have that title. So he's in great company, but it's not like people were thinking he was now in charge of Lucasfilm and Kennedy was gone. None of that's happened. Kathleen Kennedy's still in place. He's still running Lucasfilm on the administrative side. Dave is still doing what he has done every day since he joined Lucasfilm, which is, be a creative genius. And now he's got a title to go along with it.
That's really cool. I mean, I'm happy for him, and like you said, those three are just giants in Star Wars. But yeah, my understanding is that he was promoted a year ago, but they didn't really announce it a whole lot because they knew, because of the split fandom and some of those really negative fans, or even fans, they really would have made a whole bunch of videos and posts and said,
they still are.
They
still are, but it is what it is. He's had this position for a while, and so nothing has changed. All they did was put out a press release saying it happened, and it was a very quiet press release because it was just on their website, so on the Lucasfilm website. So, but so congrats to Dave Filoni there. Also, Dave Filoni did an interview recently with Variety, in which he revealed that the show Rangers of the New Republic is no longer in active development.
Yeah, that can lead a lot of places, you know.
That's there's many ways to interpret that. Um, you can interpret that as the show is being canceled. You can interpret that as it's being shelved. That active development can mean, you know what, we're just going to set this aside for a while and come back to it later. No longer an active. They're just actively not pursuing the show right now. Doesn't mean they won't come back to it. Doesn't mean they can't come back to it. But it's no longer an active development. Which is, for me, it's kind of, I was kind of this is one of the ones I was kind of looking forward to. But, again, it is what it is.
Well, and I do think, back when all these were announced, the multiple shows back in December, I'll just, say it that I, looking at Twitter and the different Star Wars podcasts that I listen to and really enjoy, almost all of them across the board were saying that it was a safe bet that not all of those that were announced would get produced, or at least, and I like what you said, buddy. It's Star Wars, nothing is thrown out. Stuff is shelved. They don't throw it out. They can come back to it, etc. And, but yeah, I mean, when they announced all this, it was just overwhelming. And then I think about, if you want to have all of these be high quality, you can't be doing all these. So I don't look at this as a bad thing, honestly. I mean, I know it can go bad places, especially if people want to associate it with, well, it's because Gina Carano got fired, so that's why she was going to be in that. Well, I don't know that,
Nobody knows that.
Nobody knows.
Except for, the people who were actively developing it.
Exactly.
Who are no longer actively developing it.
And so I hope, like I said, I'm with you. I was someone who was looking forward to this. I wanted to see this role. I wanted to see the guy, what did Gina Carano call him? Blue. The guy, he's in Kim's Convenience, right? He's on Netflix, the actor, real neat guy. Him and Filoni are the two X-Wing pilots. So I was looking forward to seeing him in it, and maybe Gina, and maybe, I don't know, Grief Karg and some other people, or whatever. Or if it had nothing to do with them, it still was intriguing to me. But I go back to what you said. I like what you said, that there's no reason they can't come back and develop this at a later time. So, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, it's no longer an act. There's many ways to interpret it, and I mean, if you take it literally, it's no longer an active development. They just are not developing it right now. That's all it means. So, in my point of view, and the way I'm going to look at it is, this could pop back up in a little while. I mean, look at Rian Johnson. Rian Johnson, after Last Jedi, when Last Jedi was announced, they were talking about him doing a trilogy once all it was over. Then everything happened with The Last Jedi, and then The Rise of Skywalker, and then all of a sudden nobody was talking about his trilogy, and everybody assumed that it was canceled and it was shelved. It was not under active development. Actually, I think I heard somebody say that, actually. It's no longer an active development. Then all of a sudden, out of the blue, not 2 months ago, Rian Johnson does an interview. He's like, "Oh yeah, we're still working on it."
Yeah.
Wait, what? That was never. Nothing's been said about that in ages. So you never know what's happening behind the scenes. So because he has said it's no longer an active development, just it could be as simple as the person who was actively developing it has moved on to something else, and they haven't got somebody to fill in for him yet.
Exactly.
It could be something like that.
Well, and I just think about Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau working on the Book of Boba Fett, and then immediately into Mandalorian Season 3. And that, again, talk about take time and effort and creativity. But that's a lot. That's a lot to. So they've got plenty to develop. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and not only that, remember they're also producing, they're executive producing, and especially with Filoni's new position, creative director, he's got responsibilities for the Cassian Andor series, which is being filmed now, the Obi-Wan show that's being filmed now, of course Bad Batch, which just is in the process of being released as we speak. I mean he's got a lot on his plate, so
yeah, there's no shortage of stuff for them to produce and develop. Yeah.
So it's very easily if something comes up like this where, hey, all right, we could put this on the shelf for now and come back to it later. All it's going to do is provide him more time to work on other stuff. So,
Right.
and focus on the stuff he has. So it's all good. So, all right. Well, like I said, today we're recording this on May 25th, 2021. And today is the 44th anniversary of the movie that started it all, my friend.
Oh, and I believe it was released in 32 theaters on this day. It wasn't nationwide, I guess nationwide, but not thousands of theaters, like the sequel trilogy was put into thousands of theaters and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I was around. In fact, my mom texted me today from Michigan, and she said it's Star Wars Day. She thought about it more than May the 4th, honestly. And her and my dad took me to it there in the summer of 1977, right there in Midland, Michigan, where my parents met and were married. And I remember being at the theater, and I vividly remember a family there. And again, I've told this story. They were from Texas, and they were visiting family in Michigan, and they had seen it the night before, and they were back to see it again. And they were just saying, you won't believe what you're going to see. And I remember I'm 8 years old, and I'm the perfect age, and oh my gosh, the Death Star, or not the Death Star, the Star Destroyer comes over, Darth Vader walks in, and now I'm 52 years old and talking to you, on a Star Wars podcast all these years later, 44 years later, and for good reason. It's just, to me, the greatest movie franchise of all time, and I'm so glad that it exists and that there was today and that it did premiere.
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad it did too. I won't tell you where I was when it premiered, but I do remember the first time I saw it. It was actually on a VHS tape. My dad actually had recorded it off of TV one of the times it'd been there. It'd been on TV on an old VHS tape. And I watched it on that, and I played that tape till the thing tore up. And I remember watching it, and every time those stormtroopers would blast through the door onto board the 1085, I literally had the coffee table flipped over, and I had toy guns shooting the stormtroopers as they were coming through. So I remember that plain as day.
Nice.
So some great memories of the show. So it's awesome. So last piece of news we have, which we're going to wrap up our news segment with, is today, actually this afternoon, Rancho Obi-Wan released some news about their upcoming galas. Of course, their fundraising galas happen annually. This past year, because of COVID, they ended up doing a virtual gala, which was pretty awesome. David and I actually both participated in that, and it was a lot of fun. Some great guests to watch, some great contests and raffles and prizes, and it was just a lot of fun. But they announced today that for 2021, they are going to do another virtual gala. It will be October 23rd of 2021. And of course, you can get details on the Rancho Obi-Wan site. But they also announced, which was huge news, that in 2022, they are going to go back and they are having their in-person gala, which means you can fly out to California, you can go to Rancho Obi-Wan and participate in person in the gala. This will be August 20th, 2022. They announced the date for that already. So that is exciting news. There is for Rancho Obi-Wan. I know I will definitely participate in the virtual one. I would love to go to the in-person gala. I just don't see that happening in my near future here.
Yeah, like you and I said, it's tough. When people are on the West Coast coming to the East Coast for things, how many people on the West Coast can get to a New York Comic Con or even Celebration when it's in Orlando? And as you and I have said, how difficult it's just not easy to get all the way out west, just from plane flights, hotel rooms, etc. I just wish it was more feasible, more easy to do. But like we said, it's as adults, you and I, and all of us Star Wars fans and everybody listening, we all have to make decisions on what we spend our money on. But I'm with you. That virtual one last year, I absolutely enjoyed it. I watched every minute of it.
Oh yeah.
Played it and did it. I'm going to do it again this year. You said you are, and just I enjoyed the heck out of it. And I thought Steve Sansweet and Ann Newman and everyone there, they did a bang up job on that. I felt really immersed in Rancho Obi-Wan from that. And I didn't think I would be, but I was like, they did a great job. And that's not easy to do.
Oh yeah, they definitely did. I was very impressed with how it went. Because you would think virtual stuff, you really can't connect. You don't feel connected to what's going on with a lot of virtual things. But this was very, very, very different. It was a lot of fun. I felt, I honestly almost felt like I was there in some ways. So it was a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to it again. So
yeah.
All right. With that wraps up our new segment. And what we are going to do is take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to start talking about The Bad Batch. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Aaron and David here. We're Star Wars Reactions, and we are ready to have some fun talking about The Bad Batch. We're talking about the latest episode, which is actually the fourth episode, right? Yeah, fourth episode of The Bad Batch. I lost count for a moment there because I'm having so much fun with The Bad Batch. Great episode, number 4. It's entitled Cornered. This episode was released on the 21st of May, written by Christian Taylor and directed by Saul Ruiz. And of course, roughly the synopsis of this episode: the Bad Batch stop on Pantora for repairs and rations, because they need food and they need repairs and gas and fuel. And they end up stopping, and things just don't go as planned as a bounty hunter shows up looking for Omega. And all all chaos ensues at that point. So there it is. Simple and quick synopsis. David, let's start with you, buddy. What were your initial thoughts about Cornered?
Yeah, no, you did it. Nice synopsis, just to get us going and get it to the listeners here. I enjoyed this episode. Again, I watch it on my phone on Friday morning. Everyone had been getting ready and all that stuff. It was the last day of school last Friday, and then I enjoy it even more when I get home and I can watch it, on my regular TV set and just open it up, see all the colors, every angle and all that. Going to the planet Pantora was cool. I think we went to a moon of Pantora in the Clone Wars. That was pretty sweet. But I really did enjoy seeing the different goings on this particular planet. Definitely gave me vibes of Coruscant, especially the lower levels of Coruscant. I appreciated all the details on the planet. And this is something that I know our listeners, who are, diehard Star Wars fans have noticed that in the Clone Wars, a lot of times the males and females were all the same character models, and they just put different hair, different clothes on. But in this one, you can see, man, they've got a lot of detail in there, and it takes time and effort. And the Pantorans who have the blue skin, They had a lot of them in there, persons who weren't. It was just really well done. It wasn't just the same male and female character models repeated over and over, and I thought that was really neat. The city seemed really real. The chase through the city was very much episode 2 inspired. I know everyone saw that. I thought the intro of Fennec Shand was nicely done. And I'm looking forward to see who hired her. I have a few different ideas on who it might be, which is cool just to kind of think about it. I like that Hunter at the end told the whole squad they need to find out who she is and who hired her. And then just a few little side notes for my initial thoughts. I love Bobby Moynihan. You and I covered him a ton in Resistance. And so him as the shopkeeper, with the 3 eyes, and ends up buying Echo. It was neat to hear his voice again. And then, I tell you what, people, Aaron and I, we covered every episode of Star Wars Resistance, season 1 and 2. And it wasn't always easy. I'm telling you that. But he and I put a lot of effort into it. And part of what Aaron and I did is, we came up with different ideas and different things to, making an interesting show, for a children's show that we know that all the Star Wars producers said was for people, kids 7 to 12. But I had a whole section called David's Creature Corner, and Aaron and I had fun with that. And so for me, I love the callback to Resistance when we saw the species of animal. It's a Vorpak that is Buggles. That was Toradoza's pet, and it's the pet that distracts Omega, to chase after the Vorpak, who has a hold of her little clone trooper doll there. So that was a fun little callback for me and my Creature Corner that we discussed every episode of Star Wars Resistance. So there's some of my initial thoughts, my friend.
Very good. Very good. I did like this episode. This was a good episode. I will admit, coming off the Replacements, which I was pretty harsh on, I was a little guarded coming in this episode because I wasn't sure what to expect. But I was pleasantly surprised. This was a lot of fun. Going to Pantora, which was great. To see the planet of Pantora. It was a lot of fun to see Fennec Shand as well. See her show up. See how she young Fennec Shand, and see how her tactics and trying to capture Omega. Then of course how she interacted with Wrecker and Hunter as well. That was a lot of fun. I will admit, since you brought it up, Buggles, when the Vorpax showed up, I was taken back, caught off guard, and I did yell Buggles at the top of my lungs when he showed up. Because I was pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed that. And I will say a lot of my issues with Replacements were completely solved in this. The situation Omega found her in, to me, felt like a real life issue. You're always worried about your kid wandering off when you're at the store. My youngest is a wanderer. If I don't keep an eye on her and a hand on her, she will wander off. Or she'll get distracted and we'll walk away and we won't realize she didn't follow us. So this was one of those situations where this felt like a real life parental issue, that Hunter was in and that Omega had caused by wandering off. And it connected me to the story, which and feeling that connection and being more believable for me made me more engaged to the story, which made me like this episode more. So there we go. Great story, great episode. So let's go ahead. We took a lot of time on the front end of the show, so let's just go through and hit on, instead of going step by step through the whole episode. Let's just talk about some of our favorite things about the episode, some of our talking points. Probably the biggest talking point and focus of this episode would be, and would be the character poster they released with, of course, Fennec Shand. We know Fennec Shand from The Mandalorian. We see her in that series. And she's this killer bounty hunter, killer bounty hunter, and she's an assassin, and we get to see a young version of her in this animated show, and it was a lot of fun to see her there, and I love. To me, the best part about seeing Fennec in this episode was seeing how she planned everything out and how she was working things out. Most bounty hunters, you see your target, you're just going to walk up and grab them and go. You're not. We see the Mandalorian do that. We see the Mando's hunting Mando do that. They see it, they're jumping. They're going to get their target no matter what. She actually, you see her use different tactics. You know what? Let me befriend the kid that obviously is lost. Let me befriend her, act like I'm her friend, lull her into a false sense of security, and just kind of walk her around and kind of walk her back to my ship. And then I will have her. She's playing a different card than we see most bounty hunters play. And to me, that was awesome. And I love the fact, too, that even though she was playing this gentler character for Omega, when Hunter shows up, Kick Butt Bounty Hunter came out. We see her beat up Hunter, and she's shooting has no problem pulling her blaster and shooting at him. Dude, she took out Wrecker.
Yeah.
I mean, they did a great job showing the character that was built up in The Mandalorian. In my opinion, I loved it. What were your thoughts when Fennec showed up and how her involvement through this episode?
Yeah, I like how you said that. Just how she shows up. She's very subtle, very calm. Hey, are you looking for someone? Do you need help? And befriends Omega. And I do like that they do present her as formidable. This is roughly 30 years before what we see in The Mandalorian. And it does say that in the episode guide for this episode at StarWars.com. I mean, I did the math in my head and figured it was about that many years, and it did say it. And so in real life, Ming-Na Wen, I think, is 58, so 28, roughly, and 58 in The Mandalorian. And I'm like, yeah, Ming-Na Wen is an incredibly talented, beautiful woman, back when she was in her 20s and now in her 50s. So it fits perfectly. And so I love the introduction of this character here. Seeing her ship, that was another thing I was looking at for a while on the episode guide, just looking at the design of it, just very cool looking. And seeing her best Hunter with a headbutt, and she does use Wrecker's weight against him. I'm glad it shows that she is polished. She's tough, and she's not just some little wimp. She's something to be reckoned with. And so I thought it was a great introduction to her character, giving some backstory and history, but also hinting at that caring heart in there. I think there is, because she does save Omega from a fall there, in that chase scene. So really enjoyed seeing her here. And of course, seeing her in The Mandalorian. Ming-Na Wen, she's awesome.
She will always be Agent May to me.
An Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, she was phenomenal in this and did a great job. And what I liked too is they left it open ended, so we will definitely see her again, I believe. There's that closing scene with her where she's talking to whoever, sending a message to whoever hired her. She's like, target got away, but I will bring them in. Yeah. And it's like, okay, who's she talking to? Obviously she's not going to give up. So she will be back. I have no doubt we'll see Fennec Shand again in the Bad Batch. So
Yeah.
I am looking very much forward to that. I got some. I mean, you and I both. We've talked off the air. We have our own ideas of who has hired her.
Right.
Just for fun, who do you think hired her?
Well, I'd said to you, I think the Kaminoans, to let Omega get some experience out with the Bad Batch, learn some of their various skills, pick up on them, and then, I'm thinking, Nala Se, right? Not Lama Su's the Prime Minister, Nala Se. I think it's her. Obviously, there's other options.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
did you? I know who you're.
More realistically, I believe it's the cloners, the Kaminoans. But if you really want to go, and for the record, we don't do this often. This is just a fun conversation we had that we're like, you know what? I was like, you know what? We're just going to do it anyway. Speculation and stuff like that's normally what we don't do here. But this is just fun at this point. Because it was a fun conversation. And after I saw a meme, the more I thought about it, I'm like, okay, I could see this happening. Is that, this is, she's being hunted or hired by Fennec Shannon. Because you remember in Mandalorian, they said she was an Imperial assassin, bounty hunter for the Empire. And she was the best one they had. So wouldn't it be something if good old Palpy was trying to hunt her down?
That's interesting. And a lot of people were talking about that before the series started when they initially saw her in the character pictures.
Oh yeah. Well, and even afterwards, it's still a talk because and everybody's probably seen it. There's a meme going on around there about how close these two people look, and it's a picture of Palpatine and how he's standing and smiling and how he's holding his hands, and then they got a picture of Omega, and she got that same grin on her face. She's holding her hands the same way, the hairstyle's the same, and it's like, how could they not be the same person? So there's in the long run, do I think it will come back to Palps? Honestly, truly, I hope not, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. And I'll say that, like you said, usually we don't do this. We've been very consistent in that way. But I just think of Star Wars and just having fun. And it is May 25th. So there's that. So that kind of gives us some leeway. I have no idea why, but just it's May 25th. So there's that. And also the dark side has taken us over a little bit. And so we've done a little bit of speculation, but only for fun. Aaron and I don't know. We don't have any insight.
We know nothing.
We're enjoying this show. We hope all of you are. And isn't that the point, to have some fun? And so Aaron and I are doing it on May 25th. We're doing it on May 25th, but we don't do that usually.
No, it's not. Don't be looking forward to more speculation. It's not something we plan on doing more. I just, like I said, Darkseid had cookies and I wanted a cookie. So
that's right.
And if I take another cookie, it'll be because I'm on Gentle Giant's website.
I think you are going to the dark side with everything going on today in this episode. But
oh my gosh!
Hey, I got to bring up another good talking point. And I really do like how you said that. Let's just hit some talking points versus every kind of beat. I want to bring up the droids in this episode, and
yes.
They're in the show notes, and and I went to the episode guide, and they had information there on Clink. Clink. Now, I know you've talked about Robbie and your friendship.
I know nothing.
Right? Yes, Clink. Right? Well,
yep.
My best friend growing up, all right, and to this day, is Steve Clink. Klenk. All right. Now, all of us as kids growing up called him Steve Clank, but technically his name is Steve Clank. Right. And of course, we would always joke, yes, Hogan's Heroes and Colonel Clank. And That's his dad. His dad's nickname was that at Elma College. His dad worked in the athletic department there at Elma College in Michigan, where Steve and I went to college. So I texted this. I took a snapshot of the databank entry for Clank and sent it to Steve, and he just loved it. I said, "Hey, listen, a lot of Star Wars fans are showing Clank some love here," and I said, "You've got to watch this episode and really see why he's pretty fun, and he's got a whole bunch of sass and spunk, and so." I just wanted to give a call out to that droid character, and I haven't really, done a shout out to really too many of my friends on this, but I wanted to do that for Steve, and he was pretty excited. He got a kick out of the description of Clink the droid being impatient, no patience. So my buddy Steve has a bit of that in him too, but that's okay. But shout out to Steve out in Arizona, and obviously to Clink the droid in this episode. So I just wanted to mention that. That was pretty fun.
Very cool. That's awesome. Yeah, they had some very interesting droids in this episode. I really liked it. Because in the episode, Echo, to earn credits so they can buy supplies, Echo's dressed up so he won't be recognized as he basically looks like a droid. So Hunter sells him as a droid to Bobby Moynihan's character.
You're right.
And it's a pretty humorous exchange. He's like, I'll buy the droid. I'll give you $2,000 for the droid. He's like, hold on. He's like, dude, you're actually considering selling your friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Echo's like, you can't be serious. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. I'll just sell you and get the credits, and then once we get all our supplies, I'll radio you, and you just walk out and join us again. And he's like, all right, that's fine, but I'm worth more than that.
That was funny. That comedic timing by D. Bradley Baker was really good. The humor in this episode I really liked.
Oh, it was great. And it was so much fun. He's like, okay, well, let's, so Hunter turns around and goes, 4,000. He just doubles the number, 4,000. And then Gren's like, 3. I'll give you 3. And Hunter's like, okay. And then Hunter just is like, yeah. This big old sigh. And then, of course, he's taken back, and we get to see the droids that he is, basically, he's put in charge of the other droids that are there. There's a protocol droid, a couple R2 units, and Clink. And it is quite amazing, especially when the protocol droid realizes that, hey, you're not a droid. I must tell my master. Right. And I'm sorry, if you just bought a droid and you put a restraining bolt on it, which is what Gren did, Bobby Moynihan's character. Yeah. Why would you not take the blaster strapped to his side?
Right. That was a part that I just purposely overlooked. Yes, I saw that. It was a glaring, but I thought, I'm going with it. Yes.
Oh yeah, it's very easy. I mean, you could easily go with it. That's not an issue. I went with it too, but at the same point, I still had to ask myself, why does he still have his blaster? It's not like it was hidden. It was literally strapped to his leg.
Right.
But did it? I didn't see it on the episode guide. Did it give us the other names of those other droids?
It did give the name of the protocol droid, and I think it was CG67 is the protocol droid.
Yeah.
It seems like the other ones, in the I can go to it real quick here to the episode guide. I don't think they give it for it feels like she the let me get down to, here we go. Blah, blah, blah. That she calls them out by name.
Yeah.
She is CG67. I see Clink listed. Okay. But no, none of the others. Now, let me click on even like Clink and see if it connects to some other ones. No, CG67, the Marauder. No, just those two, at least in the episode guide. I'm looking at the picture and I see the other two astromechs that are really look like R2. No, I would have to go back and listen to the episode. I think she does say them, but you got to forgive me.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought they said their names in the episode. I could be wrong, but I thought she did. I'm trying to get to that part of the episode now.
Well, yeah, if you've got the captioning, that's why a lot of Star Wars fans will turn on the closed captioning. Like the name, like I'll give you one. The name of the let me scroll down. The name of the shopkeeper, or forgive me, not the shopkeeper. That's Bobby Wynn. I'm talking about here's the name. It is Raspar 6. That is the Sullustan who runs the refueling depot where the Bad Batch lands. He's the one talking to Fennec Shan. Yeah. But I didn't pick up on like, wait, what's his name? Raspar 6? I didn't. But in the episode guide here, clearly that's his name. That's a little bit of a different name for a Sullustan, but kind of cool. But yeah, I need to just turn on the closed caption.
225 and DK3.
Okay, there you go.
That is straight from the closed captions on the Disney Plus. So one of them is 225, the other is DK3. Donkey Kong 3.
Yeah, you wonder. And then Clank and CG67. Yeah, there they are.
Yep. Donkey Kong 3 is what I'll call them.
That's right. That's right.
All right. So good stuff there. Like I said in my opening statement, there was one of the reasons I like this episode so much is Omega. We got to see Omega in a more real life situation at this point with her getting lost, and wandering off per se as she chased down the Varpax. And I think as a parent, at one time or another, we've all had those moments where you always tell your kid, don't wander off. Don't wander off. And some of us have actually been through that. Your kid wandered off. Oh, crap, where did they go? Yeah. And wondered where they go. So to me, this was a real intense moment at that point, because I actually felt some anxiety at that point, because you're like, oh man, the kids wandered off. Look for the kid. How did you feel about that? Sorry, and I know I don't want to get too much into it because I know your psychology corner deals a lot with the parenting issue there. But how did you feel about how they worked this episode's growth in their relationship?
Yeah. Well, and I think it's well said. When I think about my grade last week, I kind of, we'll talk about that. I'd kind of like to change it based on the way I'd like to grade this week's episode. But we can talk about that a little bit more after our final thoughts and grades. But yeah, she like you said, last week, it's allowing a kid to go out on a planet where you can't breathe, right? Versus you can breathe. You have to wear one of those breathers. There's a dangerous animal out there, and you take her with you. That's like you said, you had a big problem with that, and it took you out of the episode. And I get that. I really do. And in this case, it's much more realistic. I mean, this happens to parents. Kids are distracted so quickly. It's like my dad says, turn your head, and they're gone in a second. He says, you and Laura and Brian, you and your brother and sister, David, your mother and I turned our head for a second. Not 5 seconds, not 2 seconds, a second. You turn around. Where's David? Where's Laura? Where's Brian? And boom, like quicker than poop out a goose, right? That's something I always say. I mean, it's quick. And so, yes, Hunter is trying to get something done there. I've worked with thousands of parents, and you're trying to get something done, and kids don't know they're not thinking about that Hunter's trying to get Echo sold and get the credits, and as soon as he turns his head, boom, gone. And it happens just like that. And so, like you said, I'm going to discuss more of that in my psychology corner and just the humble pie that parenting brings. And I want it to be very much something that's supportive of parents. And if you're not a parent and you're listening to the psychology corner, just something to think about, because I've worked with young people when they're pregnant and they have their kids, and then just how much they feel beat up by the whole process. So I want this to be supportive to people who have kids or don't have kids and are thinking about it. So, but yes, I really like this much more than the previous scenario in the previous episode. So you laid it out really well, buddy.
Perfect. All right. Any other talking points you want to hit on before we go on with our final thoughts?
One quick thing. Wrecker had another blow to the head. Just a side note. Everyone keep that in mind.
He did, didn't he? Yeah. They keep showing him getting these blows to his head, wondering if that's going to come into play at some point. Especially since they're talking their inhibitor chips.
Me thinks so. You
think so? Very cool. Very good. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to take one more break, and we'll be right back with our final thoughts and David's Psychology Corner. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Aaron and David here. We are still talking about Cornered, and we're actually going into our final thoughts of the episode. Overall, I'll go ahead and kick it off since I'm the one already talking. Overall, for me, Cornered was a good episode. I enjoyed it. To me, it was a good recovery from replacements. Wasn't a great. Don't get me wrong. This was not a great episode. It was a good episode. Everything was really well done. I love the fact we got to visit Pandora, which we've heard about for a long time. I mean, it was kind of there in episode 2. We get to see the whole Lucas family dressed up like Pantorans. So this is something core to Star Wars. So it was great to actually see the planet. It was great seeing Fennec and seeing the way they built her up from how they described her in The Mandalorian. So that was great. The chase through the city on the speeders, very reminiscent of episode 2. To me, that was awesome. I loved that. It was a lot of fun. I am curious, though. My one complaint, I wouldn't even say this is a complaint, but after seeing the way Replacements kind of ended with, Crosshair all by sitting in the bunk room on Kamino surrounded by his new squad, but feeling kind of having that longing. You can tell he's missing in his own way. He's missing the rest of his friends. I'm surprised we didn't get a continuation of his story in this episode somehow. That was kind of surprising for me. So I'm as you know, we grade the episodes, and we give them a grade just like you would in school, A, B, C, D, or F. I would actually have to grade this as a B for me. That's where I am on this. David, what are your final thoughts and your grade for this episode?
Absolutely. Yeah. Consistent with you. It was a good episode. Not great, but good. I enjoyed it more than last week's episode. Like you said, Replacements. It was a nice improvement from that. I know the level can't always be, like in the first episode with Caleb Doom and Depa Balava. I understand that. And you and I do, and you and I know that grading wise. But yes, I did like it more than last week's episode. I enjoyed the stop on Pandora, the speeder chase. Obviously, we talked about the introduction of Fennec Shan here in animated form. I like the layering of that new intrigue via the Bad Batch, now needing to figure out who she is and who she works for. I like that. of course, I smile when these episodes give me a psychological or parenting issue to cover. They serve this one up on a platter. It's so easy, and I'm so thankful for it. Thank you for making it easy, Bad Batch and the creators of it. And and like I said, that transitions into, it provided a very pertinent issue within parenting. When we're dealt with humble pie. And like I said, we'll cover that in just a minute here. I mentioned a little bit earlier, I wanted to change my grade. I would honestly change my grade from last week. I had it as a B plus. I'd put that as a B, this as a B plus. The saving grace last week, like I said, and I still stand by it. I love seeing this whole side of Lama Su, the prime minister of Camino, talking with Nalase and their plans, and talking about Jango Fett's DNA degrading. That was the saving grace for me last week. But this week, yeah, I would say a B plus. Last week a B, this one a B plus. Not last week being a B plus. So kind of getting more episodes in here, Aaron, it kind of helps me to kind of balance out and just have a much better approach to knowing the grades that I want to give it. So yeah, B plus for this episode.
All right. Very good. Very good. B plus for David. B for me. So yeah, a lot of fun. Good episode. So that will close out our discussion on and our review of the Cornered, or it's not the Cornered, it's called Cornered. It's the Bad Batch. So David, why don't you go ahead and continue it on and go ahead and talk to us about your psychology corner and what you have for us today.
Absolutely. As I noted earlier in the show, parenting can be an adventure, a fun one and a harrowing one. When it's harrowing and doesn't go the way parents want, it is humble pie. And I've said this on different previous episodes that Aaron and I have recorded. I've talked to so many moms and dads in my office of every age, from the youngest parents in their 20s up to my oldest parents who are in their 80s and 90s, and their kids are alive, right, in their 60s and 70s. And something that parents say is raising kids is humble pie and I'm full. And so I wanted to talk about this a little bit because this episode gives a great example of how humble pie can get dished out to a parent and very quickly. And I mentioned this a few minutes ago, but the example here is Hunter turning his head for a second. Not 5 seconds, 10 seconds. I mean, he pays Bobby Moynihan's character, the Grand, and he turns around and boom, she is gone. Like Aaron said, squirrel, anything shiny or anything that can grab your attention. In this case, she has a little clone trooper doll that came from Rogue One, and I think was called Stormy by Jyn Erso. So Omega sees one of these, and then the Vorpak grabs it. And of course, there's a little animal, and oh my gosh, going from a stuffed animal to oh my gosh, look at these two little Vorpaks in the back of the little ride there, and off she goes. And I wanted to talk about this because as I was thinking about listeners, and it is this issue of humble pie. Now, in this case, the thing with Hunter and Omega is it brings up the catch-22 that parents face when they're told to, quote, not hover over your kids. I've heard, a lot of, TV shows and, self-help and all these kinds of groups talk about, here's what you should do as parents. And everyone's got advice, right? The point I bring up to all the parents I work with is, yeah, everyone can say, yeah, don't hover over your kids. It's going to create anxiety in your kids. But here's the problem. When parents don't hover and the kid scoots out of sight, again, quicker than lightning, the same parents hear what? Hey, why were you keeping a closer eye on your kids? Right? Mm-hmm. It's you're criticized either way as parents. And so that's humble pie. That's difficult. And let me talk a little bit about the different types of humble pie at the different age levels that I've heard from different moms and dads. And of course, I've experienced some of this. I know Aaron's experienced some of this. He's got 2 children. I have 2, and it's tough. But, I've worked with children of all ages. I've worked with adolescents of all ages, up through the preteens and then teenage years, and then, of course, adults. At birth, Here's a big one. When a child is born with a physical or mental handicap. Now, a lot of people, if you don't have a child with this, you might not think about it. But the humble pie is, in essence, and I have in quotes in our show notes, and Aaron can see it because we share show notes with each other. It is a death, and I've talked to moms and dads about this, and I bring it up and I broach the subject, and a lot of times they're surprised that I'm thinking about it, but they're thankful that I bring it up because there is a death there, not the actual physical death of the child, but in essence of a child, that boy or girl that the parents had anticipated having. You know, when you're pregnant or if you adopt a child, either way, the whole thing is, hey, you know, we want a strong and healthy kid. Are there five fingers on each hand, 5 toes on each, 10 fingers, 10 toes. That's what we want to see, right? But there's a death there, and that's an incredible humble pie to moms and dads. And I've sat with them and talked with them about that and processed it and tried to support them through it. Let's bump up a little bit. There's many more at each age, but let me go up to school age. The humble pie can be learning disabilities. You know, I've mentioned these before, I think, last year in The Mandalorian, like with reading disorder, mathematics disorder, disordered written expression. These things can make school miserable for that child and for the parents because so much effort is needed by them to help the child learn. At school age, bullying, what a massive issue we've had across our country with bullying, and mom and dad's dealing with this. We've seen kids commit suicide over being bullied. And so that can be humble pie when you're looking at your son or daughter and they're not accepted. It hurts your heart as a mom and a dad. And when you look at your son or daughter and when kids don't like your kid, oh, that's a heart hurt. And I'm almost tearing up describing it because, it hurts. So there's, just a few. That's not all the different ones that can happen at school age. But let me bop up to adolescence. Humble pie can come in many forms. Are they drinking alcohol now? Are they doing drugs? Are they, I've talked to moms and dads and they see that son or daughter, they're teens and they like this boy or girl, they're in a bad relationship, and you just see it tearing your kid up. And I'm in this stage now where my son and daughter are teens. They're not dating, but their friends are, and they're really seeing how it can really turn south pretty fast when there's a breakup. What does the boy or girl say about your son or daughter after a breakup? What does that other boy or girl do and say to other friends? And now your son or daughter doesn't have those friends because lies were told about your son or daughter. It's humble pie. Oh, good Lord. Of course, poor grades and bullying can be there in adolescence as well. Of course, we got cyberbullying now that never occurred. You couldn't do it when I was a kid growing up. You couldn't cyber bully somebody. You had to do it face to face. In adulthood, where the parents are in their 50s, 60s. I have parents, like I said, in their 70s. It's always bizarre in my office when I have 70-year-old clients and I meet their parents in their early 90s. I'm like, wait, you're 72, that's your 92-year-old mom or dad? And the 72-year-old says to me, yeah, that's my mom, that's my dad. And I look at the 92-year-old and I'm like, wait, that's your 72-year-old son or daughter? Yeah, that's my baby, Dave. I'm like, that's your 72-year-old baby? Yes, that is. Very, very fun to see. But they're still parents, right? And the child's a grown adult, and the humble pie can take many forms. One is I have a number of moms and dads who are still alive and they're financially supporting that son or daughter who's gone through a divorce, even some who haven't gone through a divorce. The son or daughter has never been married, but for some reason, drug addiction, you name it, bad financial decisions, or one or another, they could never hold down a job and so on. And they consistently support that son or daughter because they can't themselves. That's humble pie. You want that son or daughter to leave the nest and fly, but some don't. I put down, another is becoming a parent to a young one again. When the grown son or daughter asks the parents, these are my retired clients, to watch the grandkids because they have to work to make ends meet, and that is humble pie for parents of all ages. Now, look, I say all of this not to be depressing. I just say it because, again, I really, in my mind, as I sat there and watched the episode, I just kind of riffed off of what I saw happening with Hunter and Omega. That's one example of that's humble pie. You turn your head and the kid's gone, and you're like, oh my gosh, do I have to stare at my kid 24/7? Well, yeah, that would help, but you can't do that. And I say it because it's tough. Parenting can be tough. It's incredibly rewarding, but it's tough. And this episode showed that, and I'm glad that it did. And I put in the show notes that Hunter will find that truth out as this year, just how difficult it is. And Aaron, I just thinking about it as I'm doing this psychology corner. There's some real potential for some real big emotionally deep things happening if something happens to Omega or something happens to Hunter. Now, unlike the Clone Wars, where we know that Anakin and Obi-Wan, we know they've got to make it through to Episode 3. Remember, Dan Z talks about this all the time on Coffee with Kenobi. These characters, and there's no guarantee. So there could be some heartstrings pulled in this here. And so, last fall and winter, we saw Din Djarin learn all the difficulties there in parenting, and I think about several episodes where I talked about it. How about this? #Frog Lady, they're crashed on a frozen planet, and Din Djarin's got to fix the ship. That's parenting. You're protecting another adult. You're protecting those eggs. He had to protect Baby Yoda. That's what adults do. That's what good parents do, and it's tough. But we see Hunter kind of learning along the same lines as Din Djarin. So again, I want parents to just know you're not alone. There's a lot of us, any of us who are parents have humble pie. And if you're not a parent, I hope it helps you to be more empathic for those who do have kids, and so on and so forth. And if you're thinking about having them, yes, it's tough. But don't let what I just said there deter you from doing it if you truly want kids. Have kids, enjoy them, and go through the tough times as well. But there's just a psychology corner on parenting that really kind of from the running away of Omega in this episode. So there you go.
There we go. Perfect. And don't forget, Din Djarin also had to keep Baby Yoda from eating the eggs.
Right. And he struggled to do it because every time he turned his head, what did Baby Yoda do?
He had an egg in his mouth.
Yeah, egg in his mouth. That's right.
Oh, yeah. So, great corner. I really enjoy these. Thank you very much.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. So we want to hear from you. Let us know what you thought of the Psychology Corner, and let us know what you think of Cornered. You can always hit us up via email, show@StarWarsReactions.com, or hit us up on social media. Twitter is SW Reactions Pod, Instagram SW Reactions, and our all new Facebook page SW Reactions as well. So hit us up on all of those. Let us know what you think of this episode, how you would grade it too. Do you agree with our grades? Do you not agree? Do you think it should have been higher, lower? Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. You may hear your thoughts on our next show. You never know. So definitely check it out there. David, if somebody wants to talk Star Wars with you or just talk about what you've mentioned in your Psychology Corner, how would somebody go about doing that?
Absolutely. 2 spots. One is at Twitter at David_Modders. Last name is MODDERS. And the email is david@StarWarsReactions.com.
Very good. Very good. And if you want to talk Star Wars with me, you can hit me up always on Twitter. TA Harris 121079 is my Twitter. Personal Twitter, or of course you can email me, Aaron at Star Wars Reactions, and see what we got going on, and I'll reply there as well. So definitely don't hesitate to let us know. David, my friend, it has been fun as always.
It has, and I just want to say, on May 25th, perhaps the original Star Wars Day, I just want to give a big thank you to all of our listeners who are listening in. You and I were talking about this a little bit before the show started, and I just, for people to listen in and hear you and I talk about Star Wars, I hope they enjoy it. I hope it's fun for them. Get some thinking about it. I hope too, Aaron, it takes them away from reality. It's a good escapism, not bad escapism. And And I just want to make sure I do it. I don't thank them enough, but you and I are thankful for them. And I just want to make sure I said it on this special day in May.
Absolutely. He's right. We are thankful for each and every one of you. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for tuning in, listening. We still appreciate and pray for y'all. Wish y'all the best. Remember, this is your place for elegant discussion for a more civilized age.
If you'd like to share your thoughts, you can email us at show@starwarsreactions.com for our show notes and the latest news from the Star Wars universe. Visit our website at www.starwarsreactions.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at SWReactionsPod or on Facebook at Star Wars Reactions. If you enjoy our show, please leave a review on iTunes. This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or by Lucasfilm Limited. It's intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars. All names, sounds, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and the respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Star Wars Reactions unless otherwise indicated. Star Wars Reactions. Elegant discussion for a more civilized age.